Hello, this is Joanne Hewins with Love to Create. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. I'm from North Carolina, and I'm so glad that you have joined me today for just a real quick little fun fold. I've got a couple of things that I want to show you that I'm using. The first one is this paper. I've hoarded this paper. It's been around for a little while. It was carried over from gosh, I guess last year this time's mini catalog. And it is on page, okay, I've gotten some things written over here. It is on page 120 here in our annual catalog. So let me show you that. I'm having to write myself notes so I'll remember things. It's right here at the top of page 120. It's really, really pretty paper. You know, Stampin' Up does such a good job of having papers that are scenery. And this one, if you're into fall, you don't want to look this one over just because it's a repeat from last season. I've got a few. I've been working with it, and I don't have a whole lot left. But let me show you a few of the pieces that I have that are left. Of course, this one, that was my favorite, I must say, and this is the last piece that I have of it. But we also have, here's a couple other, this one. Let me hold it down a little bit. This one. Here we go. Oh, that's the same one as the one I just showed you. Here's another one. Love the flowers. And look at this. This doesn't even look like fall to me, but look how beautiful that is. That would be pretty in the card that we're making today. And then this one. Now the backs of these are more solid colors that are great too. Now, wouldn't that be pretty just to cut with a die cut some flowers from those pretty purples, and these others, wouldn't that be pretty to cut out with die cuts leaves for a nice fall look? So the name of this is called Splendid Autumn. Splendid Autumn. So we'll be using that. And the other thing that I wanted to show you out of the catalog is on page 25 near the front. And it is called Greetings for All. Let me move that up a little bit, we can see it better. Greetings for All Mix and Match Ephemera Pack. And this pack has words, but they are punch-out words that you can add to your projects. And maybe there's some words you don't have stamps to go with. Maybe this is just what you need. There's a few Christmas. There's other times of the year. I see thankful, birthday. So think about these. We're going to use a couple of these. Okay, let's go. So the card that I'm making today is a very easy fun fold. And it has the what we were talking about here, the Greetings for All Mix and Match Ephemera here in Thinking of You. And then we have another one that we'll be using on the other card that we're making. So we're going to start off with our base. I'm going to cut that. There's what we're going to use on the other one, Sending Sunshine, because those sunflowers just make me think of sunshine. So I'm bringing in my cutting board and my trimmer, and I'm going to place it on 5 1/2. And we'll cut that. And then we're going to do some scoring. The middle of this is going to be 4 1/4, and that is just the way we use it. I'll move my dark one down and use the scoring. And half of 1 1/4, hey, forget that. Half of 4 1/4 is 2 1/8. So that's where our other score line is going to go, at 2 1/8. So we have 4 1/4, which is half, and then 2 1/8, which is half of the half. Okay, Let me bring in my bone folder, and we are going to fold this in half. And just because you use the scoring tool doesn't mean you always get it perfect, so I always look to see if my corners are matching before I use my bone folder. And then you're going to fold back on this other one, and you also want to make sure you're folding that straight. Now I'm seeing some edges where I cut my paper, so I'm just going to use my bone folder and push those down. Alright, so there is our basic, I think it's called a Z-fold, our basic fold, and that's what we have on this card. Okay, so I am going to work on this little front section right here. So we're using crushed curry, and we're going to cut a piece that is 4 by 5 1/4. Now that is the standard size of what you would put inside of a card if you were going to decorate the inside. So 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to do the 4 this way. Use your lines on your trimmer to help you make sure that you have everything straight. 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, let's make sure I did that 4. I might have done it 4 1/4. No, 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, and then we're going to cut our designer paper. Now I've already cut it, but this paper is 6 by 6. So I'm going to bring this 6 by 6 piece in and talk to you about it for just a moment. Let's look at the length of it. It's going to be 5 because we're putting it on a 5 1/4. So when you cut your paper, if this is my paper and I wanted to make it 5, okay, I could do it there, but I would be cutting most of the bottom. It's just going to look like these trunks are sticking up out of nothing. So I want to keep some of that. Maybe I want to get rid of some of this. So I think what I would do if I was cutting this is turn the 5 here and cut it from there and keep this part. It's however you want to do it. And then the other part is 4. So you can decide. On this one, I guess I just about have to cut off one of those trees and just use the other tree. So maybe you want to use this one, or maybe you want to use this one. If you do, put your 4 there and cut that. And then I have a little side piece that we're going to be using, and that is just cut from the leftovers that we have. Alright, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to glue that right in the center of that paper. Getting near the end of my glue, but I tell you, that glue lasts a good long time. And I like to use the glue because I can move the paper around if I need to. I'm finding that, I don't know, as I get a little bit older, I think something's straight, and then I get it glued down, and I look again and think, what? But I guess that's just happens. So I usually hold mine from the diagonals and use that to help me place everything before I want to push it down. And this is going to be glued right here. Now you want to center it so all of your edges look about the same. Let me move this over. So I'm going to put, I think, to be safe, I'm just going to go ahead and put my glue here. I'm going to come down a little bit. I'm going to leave some space on the edge and some space there. And this is where I'm going to do the gluing, because you don't want to glue your card shut. You want to be able to get back in there. So I'm going to put this about like that, I think. So I'll push that down. And you can see when I open it, There it is. Pretty easy. We'll just go ahead and finish up the front. I'm going to put my Sending Sunshine on. I'm going to use dimensionals to do that, and I've got these mini dimensionals sitting here, so I'll just use those. I think I've got a little bit of glue on my hands. I'll just put one more. Sometimes I'm a little heavy-handed on the dimensionals. And we'll get those off. Okay. And I'm going to put that, oops, not upside down, I hope. I'm going to put that about right there. And then I have made a bow out of old olive. This is from the Early Espresso and Old Olive Linen Thread Pack. I believe this is part of the online exclusives. I'm going to use my glue dots. That one's wanting to be a little wild. And I'm just going to take one and roll it up. And I dropped it. There it is. You ever do stuff like that? Alright, and I'm going to put the glue, rolled up glue dot, right here on the back of my bow. And I'm just going to put it right in there. Maybe stick it under there a little bit. Okay. There we have that. And we're ready to work on the inside. Now, I need to get a piece of white paper. It will take me 1 second. All right, and I'm going to cut my inside for that at 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 4. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this other side while I'm cutting, because I'll need it for another card at some time. And then 5 1/4. I'll just go ahead and cut this one to the side, the size. I might as well cut this while I'm cutting. 5 1/4. Now I have the insides ready for 4 cards. Okay. We'll keep one and set the others aside. Okay. And I have my slither that I'm going to glue here. Now, oftentimes when I am cutting out paper, well, that won't go off. When I'm cutting paper, I cut it a little bit longer than needed just because I don't want white showing extra. So I'm going to put this on. I'm going to start it down here in this corner, because if I have to cut any off, I don't want to cut it from there. I want to cut it from that blue up there. So I add this, and then I can just turn that over on the other side and just clip the extra. I don't have any white that's showing. Now, when you add the inside of this card, you need to be careful, because you want to make sure that when your card is closed, this doesn't show. You can see when this one's open a little bit, see how that shows right there? When it's closed all the way, it almost a little bit shows. So I want to do better on this one, and I want to make sure that I leave some space. So it might actually not be completely centered. It might be a little more close to this side than it is to this side. But let me go ahead and glue that in. Now, of course, you can use the ephemera and add a saying for the inside of this, or I'm sure you have some stamps that you could also use to stamp a greeting on the inside. We're just going to stop there. Okay. We'll add that in there. Okay. And there's your card. Sending sunshine. Some little sunflowers. Now this one does as well show part of that when it's just open like that. I'm going to take my bone folder and go over that again. See if I can get that to lay a little bit better. Sometimes you can fold it back the other direction and then fold it back. And that might help a little bit. Not a lot. But there you go, 2 cards. And just very, very easy. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you'll try to make this. And remember that I am Joanne Hewins. I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.